Number 8. Busy inmates. 26-year-old Tina Gonzalez began working as a corrections officer at the Fresco County Prison in 2016, but was later arrested in May 2020. So in other words, someone who was employed to work within the guarded walls of the prison was herself imprisoned. What exactly led to this arrest? Apparently, cops received a report, more like under-the-table information, stating that she had been engaging in sexual activities with one of the prisoners. And guess what? This was not an act that took place in privacy. In fact, there were plenty of witnesses. She had gone to the extent of cutting out a slit in her uniform for, easy access. That's not it. It was later discovered that she had smuggled a cell phone into the county jail too. She also had razors, which may have been used as weapons too. While her previous supervisor, Assistant Sheriff Steve McComas, had seen many filthy things throughout his 26 years as an officer, he felt that learning about an officer having sexual intercourse with an inmate was the most disgusting thing by far. According to him, only a depraved mind can come up with such an idea. He also claimed that she breached an oath, endangering the lives of her co-workers. McComas contended in court that Gonzalez did not appear to be apologetic for her conduct. In June 2021, she was then sentenced to 2 years probation and 7 months in jail. Earlier this year, Gonzalez pleaded to no contest to engaging in sexual behavior with a consenting, confined adult. Her lawyer stated she was in a vulnerable situation when her marriage collapsed. But does that justify her actions? Not really. The sheriff feels that she deserves a stronger punishment, as she never showed any hint of remorse. Number 7. Smuggling. Prison guards are obligated to watch over the proper conduct of the convicts. When prison guard Gary Hayward was being trained, his trainer told him there would be challenges within those bars, but he was convinced that he would not budge. Hayward had become a prison officer at New York's Rikers Island in 1996. The former Marine's purpose was to start paying off debts, his expenses, and endorse child support payments. This wasn't going to be easy with him barely making $28,000 a year. So what did he do? When a prisoner came to him proposing $300 for 1 pack of smokes, a hefty price when the state prohibited smoking, Hayward ended up going for it and made the exchange. He reasoned it, believing a bunch of guards carried cigarettes for themselves, so it really wouldn't be a very challenging feat to pull off. It happened again and again. Soon after, his expenses decreased, and he became a go-to guard for contraband. The few extra bucks gradually developed into greed. There came a time when one of the convicts offered him $1,500 for smuggling in roughly half an ounce of cocaine. So, of course, Hayward was soon sneaking that in routinely too, as well as mobile phones and other items. All he had to do was strap all the stuff to himself, concealed well within his uniform. And guess what? Nobody checked him. This free and unchecked pass gave way to a steep increase in his misconduct. But you know, it had to stop at some point. Hayward was caught after a prisoner turned him in. This led to Hayward serving 2 years in jail. On a legal pad inside prison, he penned the self-published book, Corruption Officer, From Jail Guard to Perpetrator, inside Rikers Island. His brilliant work significantly damaged the reputation of the entire department. He even spoke of a sex ring racket that was high and about within the walls of the prison and was controlled by a female correctional officer trio. Basically, he took a lot of people down with him. Number 6. Assisting the escape. Mitchell served in the clothing shop at Clinton Correctional Facility in Dannemora, New York, when investigators believe she met prisoners David Sweat and Richard Matt. She was involved in encouraging prison contraband and convicted for between 2 and 8 years in September of 2015. She was also forced to pay $80,000 in reparations for damage suffered during the getaway. The search that took place in June 2015 came to a close when Matt was shot by cops, and Sweat was shot and later arrested. It was eventually discovered that the convicts had lured Mitchell as part of an intricate plot. Mitchell had reportedly agreed to leave with Sweat and Matt, had assisted them in collecting firearms, ammo, camping equipment, and a compass. But who in their right mind would help the inmates, and why? As per the investigation, she proclaimed her love for Sweat in the writing she discreetly gave him and engaged in multiple sexual interactions with Matt in the tailor shop. Mitchell had allegedly snuck hacksaw blades, cutting tools, and other equipment into the jail, well concealed in frozen hamburger meat, which was subsequently provided to the convicts. Mitchell aimed to meet the convicts outside the jail with a getaway car, but she hesitated and didn't show up, causing the escapees to reassemble. At her sentence in 2015, Mitchell told the judge, "If I could take it all back, I would." Does it really matter when the whole scheme went down without a hitch? and the inmates got out. But how did they manage to do it? The two used power tools to break through the rear of their cells, burst through a wall, cut through a steam pipe, and afterwards slithered through it, ultimately exiting outside the prison wall through a manhole. They had placed sweatshirts and other apparel on their covers to make it look like they were in their beds. They left behind a letter that said, "Have a nice day." Mitchell stated, "This is by far the greatest mistake I have ever made in my life. I live with remorse every day and will for the rest of my life." And we're confident she will, given that her heroic efforts resulted in the production of a TV series called Escape at Dannemora. It has received multiple awards based on the actual life occurrence. Have you watched the show yet? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe button if you haven't already. Number 5. Baby Shark. Two former Oklahoma County jail keepers and their supervisor were charged with torturing prisoners by reportedly compelling them to listen to the song that went viral across the globe, Baby Shark. At the Oklahoma County Detention Center, Christian Miles and Greg Butler Jr. allegedly forced 4 convicts to stand alone in cells shackled to a wall while listening to this children's song on loop. At least 2 of these convicts were forced to stand for 2 hours, according to the probable cause affidavits. The song was set on loop to play repeatedly aloud, which caused unnecessary mental stress on the prisoners, who are most likely also suffering from physical pressure as well. This was reportedly used as an option to teach the convicts a lesson. Christopher Hendershot, the guard shift commander, was apparently aware of the activities, along with Miles and Butler. He too willfully disregarded inmate complaints to get the guards to stop torturing them. Although the music was a joke between the 2 guards, the penalty might be deemed as torture under the law. Miles and Butler have all been charged with misdemeanor counts of inmate cruelty, physical punishment, and conspiracy. All 3 guards were removed from any further interaction with prisoners, and during the inquiry, they all voluntarily decided to leave the department. Number 4. Beer for the road. According to the Cross County Sheriff's Office, a Parkin police officer is behind bars after enabling 2 convicts to temporarily escape police custody. According to authorities, on October 7th, Officer Daryl Crowder went to the Cross County Detention Center to transport 2 convicts to Parkin for court. The prisoners were reportedly shackled and wearing uniforms as they left the detention center. Crowder then transported both prisoners to one of the prisoners' family's residence. Not just that, the prisoner was given permission to leave his custody and enter the residence to get money from a family member. He also permitted one of the prisoners to buy beer and smokes while still wearing a prison uniform and cuffs. Afterward, the officer allowed them to drink the beer, and they simply tossed the empty cans out of the vehicle. They were even granted free will to consume cigarettes on their way back to prison. They were obviously warned not to tell the detention center regarding any of their actions. It also came to light in no time, though, and Crowder was arrested on October 11, 2021 by the Cross County Sheriff's Office after a detailed investigation was completed. He was charged for providing illegal items and interfering with the functioning of an essential public institution. Number 3. The worst prison guards ever. In the alleged 2021 incident, Tyrell Harris McLaughlin, a 28-year-old prison officer at the controversial Edna Mahan Correctional Facility for Women, was convicted of sexual assault and abuse of authority. The female prisoner notified prison personnel days after the alleged incident that Harris McLaughlin raped her. The sperm was obtained from the woman at a hospital and matched Harris's DNA. The correctional officer had disciplinary authority over the female inmate at the jail in rural Hunterdon County, which housed around 370 inmates. Harris McLaughlin of Jersey City had joined the Department of Corrections in 2019. Governor Phil Murphy had called the fresh allegations disgusting. Not only did it happen to one inmate, it happened with several women by different officers. Murphy told reporters, "This is tragically not the first. It had been building for 2-3 decades, and it has been kicked down the can. And the can has been kicked down. We're not going to kick it down anymore. We are closing this thing." The assault happened while in jail, was under investigation by the Department of Justice. If convicted, Harris McLaughlin is likely to face up to 10 years in jail. Number 2. Tortured inmate. Cheriel Glaze, a former prisoner in the Ohio County Jail in Cuyahoga, raised a case against the county in the year 2017, claiming he was tormented and harassed by guards while he was jailed. According to the complaint, Glaze was allegedly tortured by 2 prison officers who used pepper spray on him while he was shackled and even resorted to beating him up. The complaint highlighted the violation of the prisoner's civil rights. According to the legal counsel representing Glaze, their client was set to be released on November 27, 2017. Glaze repeatedly requested different guards to check on his release documents, but nothing happened. As a result of repeated requests, he asked the guard to call a higher-ranking officer. A guard is required to do so under prison rules when an inmate requests it. Glaze presented the corporal document with his release date when he arrived. A video from the event shows the guards hand-grasping Glaze's shirt collar while using the spray foam with the other. According to Glaze's legal counsel, employing pepper spray to hurt a prisoner is just the same as retaliating against and mistreating inmates. According to the complaint, guards took Glaze out into a corridor after the pepper spray incident and purposefully thrashed him into a metal door. The impact resulted in a fractured tooth and a few scratches around his mouth. After that, a guard radioed members of the jail's special response team to report an attack on a guard. Glaze was placed in a restraint chair by SRT officers when they arrived. Reportedly, the straps were so tight that they left deep and painful marks on his body hours after he was freed. Guards even mocked and insulted Glaze when he was strapped in the chair. This might lead one to believe that the torment was over, but no. Glaze was left on the restraint chair for hours. He requested and was denied permission to use the bathroom several times. According to the lawsuit, Glaze eventually peed on himself and was forced to sit on the dreaded chair covered with pepper foam and his own urine. He was later moved into disciplinary isolation for 3 days. Things still didn't get better for him. Glaze was also offered rotten milk and stale oatmeal instead of his regular meal. They further claimed that although some of the prisoners were given soap and water, poor Glaze was not provided either. Even though Glaze has since been released from prison, he now suffers from bouts of PTSD as a result of this unruly incarceration event. His lawyers claimed that the video from the incident has been manipulated with or changed by the county. Not just that, despite being penalized for racial statements, the corporal who carried out the assault was eventually promoted to the rank of sergeant. This definitely demonstrates a high degree of injustice at a place that is supposed to abide by it the most. And number 1, engaged. Even though the inmate won't be released until 2032, a woman who started communicating to a prisoner a little over 2 years back has disclosed that they are, well, engaged. Kelly, who hails from the Netherlands, began writing letters to convict Wyatt in 2019 via the site writeaprisoner.com. She had no intentions of initiating a relationship. She was only interested in communicating with convicts since she had previously worked as a correctional officer and was interested in learning more about what happens within the walls of the jail from the inmate's perspective. Kelly, who uses TikTok to post updates of her relationship, has been writing to convicts but eventually realized that she and Wyatt connected. In one of her posts, she said, "It never was my intention to go on the website to find someone to date, and I picked him because he was the only one smiling on the first page, and he looked very friendly." They apparently revealed their affections for one another after a few months of chatting and contacting each other for hours on end. They got engaged after exchanging several letters, cards, and presents. Kelly in the Netherlands received a diamond ring when the convict proposed to her through video conference. According to Kelly, Wyatt sought the help of a friend to send her a diamond ring. Yes, you heard that right. He went to great lengths just to make sure she received her precious promise of love at her house, directly from a Dutch jeweler. The pair have identical tattoos on their ring fingers as well. Wyatt had proposed by video message with a handcrafted ring with the word always, and even wrote to Kelly's father to get his approval. However, the two intend to wed later this year. They'll probably have the ceremony in the jail, since Wyatt isn't expected to be released for another decade. In 2012, Wyatt was sentenced to prison for assault, firearm possession, and illegal use of weapons. Now that is some kind of love affair. Thanks for watching. Which of these stories shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time.